Welcome to session 3 of Building Resilience through Mindfulness for Parents and for Teachers. In session 1 and session 2, we spoke a lot about stress. We spoke a lot about mindfulness. So let's just recap. What is mindfulness? What are we trying to do in mindfulness? We're trying as best we can to pay attention. To do so with intention. In this present moment, and to do so non-judgmentally. Sounds very simple, but not an easy thing to do. And I'm sure you have discovered that during your formal and informal practices during the week. When we pay attention with intention in the present moment, we allow our minds to step out of autopilot. Autopilot is where the mind is flying like a plane, but the pilot is asleep and the mind is somewhere else. Once we step out of autopilot, we become aware. We become aware of the habits of the mind, habitual ways of thinking, habitual ways of becoming emotionally triggered, and ultimately, habitual ways of behaving. That awareness is really, really crucial to how we function in our everyday lives, and particularly how we function in a stressful environment, which we have right now. Understanding and becoming aware of the body-mind communication is really, really important to reacting versus responding. When we become aware, we have choice. Choice is a very important factor. We choose to respond. We choose to act in a particular way. We choose to not allow our thinking become negative. We choose not to let our minds ruminate incessantly on worry. We choose not to let our minds constantly worry about the future, particularly about things that may never happen. We choose not to let our minds reminisce endlessly into the past about things that we can now do nothing about. It's gone. It's over. Becoming aware of how our minds is controlling our everyday thinking patterns and ultimately our everyday behaviours and ultimately our lives right now is a gift. And that is the gift mindfulness can give you. As I said last week, we have to train our minds to become mindful. It takes practice, it takes patience, and it takes perseverance. So here we are on session 3. And I invited you last week to choose through YouTube or to choose an app that would help you to do formal practice. I recommended 2 particular practices that you might use, those of John Kabat-Zinn or those of Mark Williams. You may have chosen others, but they are the 2 that I would generally recommend in my formal mindfulness classes. Right now, I would like to invite you to engage in a practice with me, a formal practice, a sitting practice. So if you would like to find a comfortable seat or a comfortable place where you can now engage in a 10-minute practice, please feel free to do so. So finding that chair, preferably, let's talk a little bit about what helps practice. The first thing is we're paying attention with intention. So we need to find that place, the quiet place, the chair we're going to sit on, preferably a high hard-backed chair is the best chair of all to sit on. Sitting on a stool, but a chair that allows us to sit in a dignified, upright position. So not slouching on the couch, or not sitting on a stool that is too low, a solid, high-backed chair that allows us to sit in the dignified, upright position. So we always pay attention to posture, because posture is what creates the intention. So if you have found that chair right now in a place that is quiet, where you might not be disturbed for the next 10 minutes or so, and just listening to the sound of the bell. The bell is the invitation. It is not a religious icon. The bell is the invitation to pay attention with intention. So as I sound the bell, allow yourself, find that dignified position on that chair you're in right now. So, sitting in a dignified upright position, feeling the feet on the floor, allowing the eyes to close gently, if that feels comfortable. If not, just allowing the gaze to rest. Rest maybe on a fixed point on the floor. And noticing the body as it becomes still. Allowing the hands to rest gently on the lap. And just becoming aware of the stillness, the intention to pay attention just for the next few moments, as best you can, as best you can. Allowing the awareness to come to the breath. The breath is the anchor of meditation. We allow the awareness to rest on the breath. It helps us to bring the awareness away from thinking. It's the cushion for the awareness. Noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. The breath is always in the present moment, because we cannot breathe in the past, and we cannot breathe in the future. We can only breathe in this present moment. So when our awareness is on the breath, we know we're in the present moment. Sometimes it takes a little while for the awareness to rest on the breath, because of course the mind is busy and it loves being busy. So it does need a little encouragement, kind encouragement. Of course the mind wanders. It might notice a sound in the room, or it might notice a sound from outside, and it likes to wander when it notices something. That's okay, that's what minds do. They've been trained to wander. We are now trying to train our mind to do something it's not used to doing. So we do so ever so gently. Just allowing the awareness to be with the breath. Sometimes maybe counting the in-breaths may help to keep the awareness on the breath. Sometimes maybe just noticing the abdomen as it rises on an in-breath and falls on the out-breath. There is no right or wrong way. Just depends on what's a personal preference. The next out breath, I would like to invite you just to allow the awareness to go to the feet. Right down to the feet on the floor. What do they feel like right now? Are they warm? Are they cold? Maybe noticing the pressure from footwear. Maybe no sensations at all, that's okay. There is no need to make up sensations. Whatever is here is here. Again, noticing the mind as it tries to wander. The mind loves to wander. We're merely training it to stay focused right now on the soles of the feet. On the next out breath, letting go of awareness of the feet and maybe just allowing the awareness to go to the legs, the calf muscles, the shin bones, the knees. Noticing the pressure of the seat underneath the backs of the legs. Noticing maybe what emotion might be here right now. Maybe impatience, maybe feeling, I don't want to do this. Just noticing. It's just noticing how is the mind reacting to trying to pay attention. On the next out breath, letting go of the legs and allowing the awareness maybe just to come to the body as a whole, sitting on the chair. Tension maybe in the back as it's trying to maintain a dignified upright position. Maybe tension across the shoulders. The arms, to the hands as they're resting on the lap. What is here right now? We're merely allowing the awareness to come to the body. Noticing things we may never have noticed all day. Ache, pain, tension, whatever is here is here. Sometimes we don't even notice what's going on in this body. On the next out breath, letting go of awareness of the body and gently allowing the awareness to come back to the breath. So letting that transition happen from the breath to the body and back to the breath again. We're using the breath as a spotlight for the awareness. And of course the mind continues to try to wander. That's normal. That's what minds do. And as we're bringing the meditation to a close, again with the sound of the bell, just allowing the awareness to leave the breath and return to the session of mindful practice as we're trying to engage in. So very well done. For some of you, that might have been your first mindful formal practice, but that is generally what a mindful formal practice is like. Mindful practices can be done in many different ways. We can do mindful walking with just 10 steps. We can do mindful sitting, as we have engaged in the last few moments. We can do mindful practice lying down. We can do mindfulness in many, many different ways, or mindful formal practice in many, many different ways. You will find when you use the YouTube clips and when you download the apps, you will generally find a preference. Some people love doing the formal body scan practices. Some people love doing the mindful walking practices. Some people really enjoy doing the sitting practice. I would encourage you to try all the practices. It is good to be able to try all of the practices, but you will no doubt find one that you have a preference for, and that's okay too. As you develop your formal mindful practice, you will also discover that mindfulness becomes a way of life through your informal practice. Last week I asked you to wash your hands mindfully. This week, and from this week onwards every week, I would like to invite you to pick a new informal practice each week. What might you do this week? Maybe brushing your teeth. So each time you brush your teeth, pay attention with intention in the present moment. Notice each tooth as it's being brushed. Notice the toothpaste. Notice the water. Allow the mind just to be with the brushing of teeth. Then you are training your mind to pay attention with intention. Next week, you might pick another informal practice. So building up informal practice helps us to build mindfulness into our everyday way of life. As we develop the informal practices, we realize and we discover that we are not as dependent on formal practice, even though for those who enjoy mindfulness, it is lovely to be able to do a formal practice every day. It becomes a real enjoyment every day to do a formal practice. So going forward, what am I hoping for the parents and the teachers? I am hoping that through mindfulness, they will build resilience. Building resilience means that they will develop a capacity to prepare for challenge, recover from the challenges, and adapt to the challenges we find ourselves in. If we can build resilience in parents and in teachers, there is no doubt through them we will build resilience in children. I hope you enjoyed our 3 sessions of mindfulness, and we certainly will return with other sessions on building resilience with the children. As I leave you, I would like to leave you with a wonderful quotation from Daniel O'Leary. The habit of developing an authentic presence among others, of mindful speaking, walking, eating and listening gradually brings a confidence that nourishes healthy thinking. Comparing yourself with others is rarely helpful. Neither is defining yourself by your past mistakes. Be compassionate and tender with your struggling self. You have suffered enough. Talking things through with a friend is invariably a good way to regain perspective and clarity, as is giving full attention to what you're doing. That's paying attention. Anxiety comes from an unattended mind. And remember, not to push yourself too hard to achieve everything at once. What you're seeking so desperately is already inside you, waiting for the moment to emerge. This is what these sessions were all about: preparing the ground, the circumstances, for what healing needs to happen, for that happiness to emerge, for a golden harvest to bless your life. So through your mindful practice, I hope that a golden harvest will bless your life in the coming weeks and months. Goodbye.